Day. Hello everyone. This is Dr. Kamani, licensed clinical psychologist, and I wanted to come on briefly today. Many of you have seen the video that I did recently, in which I was interviewed by Stephanie Perry in terms of Black women leaving toxic jobs. So I wanted to come on for a little bit to just talk a little bit more about that video. To date, we've had about 24,000 views of that video and over 600 comments. So I wanted to just come on live to just briefly talk about some of the comments that that video received, because I noticed that there were some trends in the comments, and some of you may relate to some of these trends. So I wanted to talk about the trends in the comments because it was so many comments. It was hard for me to respond to every comment. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the Black women who watched that video and who commented, and really feeling that a lot of Black women could really relate in terms of what I was talking about, in terms of my own experiences of leaving a toxic job. And, I've talked before that I'm a very private person. So many people are surprised that I've been talking so honestly about my own experiences. But when I was talking with Stephanie Perry, that was the first time that I really talked at length about the toxic environment that I experienced and the harm that came from that. And again, I have been very vocal about these experiences because I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone or feel like they should be ashamed about anything that has happened to them. So again, I'm very open about my experiences in a toxic job. And my hope is that with more Black women, recognizing that we have options, that these jobs recognize they can't keep treating us like this, right? So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about the trends in terms of the comments that I saw in that Stephanie Perry video. Again, if you have not seen that video, I'll put the video link in the description section. Um, but just really talking about my own experiences. So the video was called Black Women Leaving Toxic Jobs. So in terms of some of the trends that I saw was so many Black women talking about their own experiences in toxic jobs. Now I had kind of, gathered that sense, over the course of the year that I've been doing videos, but just the outpouring of Black women who've talked about just the horrific experiences they've had at the job. And it's across professions, right? Across ages, across professions. So I just wanted to just say a lot of us have had this experience, unfortunately, and a lot of us have had more than one toxic job experience. So that was a trend that I saw. I also saw in the comments section a lot of women talking about the profound impact that being in these toxic jobs had on them in terms of the harm. So they talked about the physical, also the psychological harm. A lot of Black women talked about, feeling stuck in their job and not really knowing what to do. And there was some questioning in the comments, and I wanted to address this. There was some questioning in terms of if my comments or if the message was that I'm telling Black women to just leave without any type of job or any type of financial anything, right? Just leave and don't work. That was not what I was saying. Okay. And I just want to clarify this. So what I was saying, and I'll say again, that I don't encourage any Black woman to just leave a job abruptly without a plan unless she is in immediate danger in terms of physically, psychologically. Okay. What I am talking about is ways that we can recognize we're being harmed, and what do we do in those moments when we recognize that, and how do we exit plan, right? So again, I'm not telling Black women just leave, don't, no, that's not what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm saying is how do we plan and how do we pivot? Okay. So that was some of the comments too. Now, something that was very disturbing and concerning was that, and this is not just in the comments, but other Black women have reached out to me after that video, in terms of talking about their own past experiences or knowing of someone else who experienced suicidal thoughts or suicidal behaviors in relation to a toxic job. So again, just really emphasizing that toxic jobs can really harm us, to the point where some people, feel like they don't really have a future without that job, or they've been so broken by the job, they don't even know what to do. Okay. So, what I do want to share also is that we do have resources to support, in terms of if you're experiencing suicidal thoughts or if you know someone else who is experiencing these thoughts. So you just dial 988 on your phone. That's the Suicide Prevention Lifeline number. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. So those are the overall themes that I saw in the comment section that I'm just really struck by. And again, I'm so um, just in awe of our strength, right? But also, I want to say that when I say I'm in awe of our strength, I'm not saying that we deserve this kind of stuff because we can withstand it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we are powerful women and we are brilliant women and we have options, okay? So I really want us to execute and follow through with those options. So I see in the chat, hello. And also the Stephanie Perry video was about Black women leaving toxic jobs. So she interviewed me about my own experiences in a toxic job. And I talked about at length about things that happened to me. I talked about the grief process in relation to leaving a toxic job, which many times people can find that confusing, in terms of experiencing grief in a toxic job. But what I mentioned was that the grief comes from a lot of different things, right? So the grief can be, the dreams that you had about the job coming in, recognizing that those dreams will not be fulfilled, that the goals you wanted to accomplish, letting that go. So that in terms of those dreams, but also the grief could be related to people at your job that you maybe trusted in some way, may have betrayed you or were not there for you, didn't have your back when you were going through some difficult times. Or it might be you really formed some good relationships with people at your job. And knowing that you won't be in relationship with them like that anymore. So having that sense of loss with that too. So again, I will put Stephanie Perry's the link to that video about Black women leaving toxic jobs. I will put that in the description section so you will have access to that video. Okay. So again, I went through that at length, and then I also talked about ways that I am trying to support Black women leaving toxic jobs because I know we deserve better. And so I am using my own experiences in terms of how I was able to get out, and sharing that with other Black women because I want to support other Black women in getting out of toxic jobs too. Okay. So what I wanted to do too was share a little bit in terms of the big nuggets in terms of how I got out, right? So, when I was in that toxic job, I felt like I was in a movie, like a horror movie, actually. That was a combination between Get Out, Mean Girls, and The Emperor Has No Clothes, right? And so it was like every day I'm just living this surreal existence with the sense that people are doing harm to me and feeling that I didn't really have any options, right? I didn't know what to do. I felt very stuck. And feeling stuck and feeling that other people have control over your life and in terms of your livelihood can be very depressing, right? And so I decided to take my power back. So I'm going to talk a little bit in terms of how I took my power back, okay? So, the first thing was that number one, I recognized that I had to get out of that environment. I recognized that I was really being harmed significantly. And I knew that I could not heal in that same environment that was harming me. So, number one, I took a leave. Okay. I took a leave of absence. And if you are able to take a leave, please do so. Okay. Because again, we need to be able to remove ourselves from continuing to get the same type of harm. And you may not be able to take an immediate leave, but if you're able to start making plans for how you're able to take a leave, or if you're able to do part time, if you're able to transfer to a different part of the job, but what are some ways that you can minimize the harm? So that's number one. Okay. So I recognized that I was being harmed. I took a leave. Now, I also want to say a step before that. A step before that is recognizing this job is not worth my physical and or mental health. Okay, that's number one. Okay. My hope is that you recognize that before you start getting really sick. Okay. So recognizing that, taking a pause, taking a leave if you're able to. That was one. Number two, I've always been a very spiritual person, and I prayed, and I knew that God did not want me to be in that environment. I knew that I had too many gifts to offer, and I knew that God had a bigger plan for me. And I had to just, walk out, step out on faith. Okay. Now, I also had a plan, right? I also worked on an exit plan as I did take my leave. Okay. So, again, take that rest if you can or how you can. Number two, do what you need to do to ground yourself and take care of yourself, okay? So for me, it was prayer, it was support of my family, support of my friends, and I also got a business coach, okay? Now, getting a business coach was incredibly helpful for me because I would not have known how to pivot, okay? So I got a business coach. So that was the second thing I did. The third thing I did was, as I was leaving that job, I recognized that there were so many things in that job where I really gave my power away. Okay. So I gave my power in the way in different ways. So number one, trying to negotiate with people who were not invested in my growth or who were not invested in telling the truth, right? But keep trying to reason with people that was giving my power away, right? Dimming my light was giving my power away. Trying to look to other people to help support my growth, that was giving my power away, right? So in that process, when I recognized how I was giving my power away, so in addition to getting a coach, I also was very involved in my own therapy because I recognized all the ways that I had given my power away, but I also learned how to forgive myself for that. I learned to forgive myself for being in that toxic job as long as I was, trying to negotiate with people, who were not worthy of it. All these different things. I forgave myself for it and I reclaimed myself. I became reconnected to myself. Okay. And I was able to do that not only with prayer, with coaching, support of family and friends, continuous prayer, right? Every day, asking God to direct me in terms of where I needed to go. But also, I was able to develop a roadmap for myself. Like, how do I get out of here, right? So, how do I walk that underground railroad and get out of this toxic place that's killing me? Okay. So I developed a roadmap for myself in terms of really being able to assess where I was and assess and address those fears I had about leaving that job. I had to do that. I had to reevaluate the circle of people around me in terms of who was supporting me and who was acting like they were supporting me, but they were stabbing me in my back. Okay. And I also had to recognize what are the things that I'm trying to strive for? How do I get there? How do I bring more joy into my life? Okay. So these were all things that I did for myself in terms of my own roadmap because I knew I needed a way out, but I just needed to see it. I need to see the direction. Okay. So I did all of that, developed that roadmap, and then now that I'm on the other side, and again, I talked about this before, that healing is an ongoing process when you're in a toxic job. It doesn't just stop like once you leave. It is an ongoing journey. And I've talked about, I'm still in a healing process. I resigned in July, still healing from it. Okay. And so it's okay to recognize that you're healing. It's okay. Let's give ourselves some grace with that. Okay. And so what I did was I took that roadmap and I created the Welcome to Your Queendom digital fillable workbook, right? So the roadmap that I went through, that I utilized, I have developed something to share with you. Okay. And so I'm also going to put that information description section as well. Okay. So again, I just want to come on briefly to just talk about, just the overall, feeling of, oh my God, so many women, so many Black women really resonated with that Stephanie Perry video about Black women leaving toxic jobs. My hope for you, sis, is if you're watching this and you are thinking about leaving a toxic job, start making your plans for doing so. Please do, okay? Because no job is worth, you dying for. No job is worth you being unhappy for. Stephanie Perry talked about when she was interviewing me, dreading waking up. Okay. None of us, that's not why God created us. Okay. That we all have a mission. There's something bigger for us, and we deserve better than being in these toxic jobs. My hope is that eventually these toxic jobs will recognize that they need to treat everybody with respect. Because if they don't, they won't have people to work for them. Okay. So that is my hope. I want to read just a few of the comments. There was a question, are the comments here visible to recruiters? Um, I don't know. I can't, I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know for sure. Okay. If you do want to contact me, you can contact me via my website, and I'll put that information description section as well. If you're interested in participating in the Black Women Healing from Toxic Jobs program that I have, the group coaching program, then that link will also be in the description section. So again, I can't say if your comments are going to be seen by other people, but I know that you can contact me. Okay. So again, the coaching program is starting soon. I am a therapist. However, the group is a coaching program, right? This is not a therapy group. Okay. So that, but also looking at that this program really helps us heal. It starts the healing process. Okay. Now you're not going to get totally healed, right? But it starts the healing process, and it gives you the tools and resources to help you deal with all that trauma and drama from these toxic jobs. So as you move forward, you have a better sense of clarity in terms of what you want, and you're able to really identify what your next steps are in terms of exit planning. Okay. So again, I'll put that in the description section. I see another comment. I watched the video on Stephanie's channel, and woo, it definitely triggered memories. If works if workplace trauma from illness and taking FMLA leave to watching a colleague friend die. Yes, if you are in a toxic job, please listen and get out ASAP. Please do. Yes, save yourself. Okay. Okay. I see another woman said she purchased the Welcome to Your Queendom digital fillable workbook. Thank you, sis, for purchasing. I'm going to begin my work in the workbook. Awesome. Excellent. And then I see my sister friend, Colette Elizabeth. Again, I think we are the same. We are sisters from another mother. Okay, because she also talked about this issue in terms of toxic jobs on her channel. Please subscribe to her channel as well. She does outstanding videos talking about, what the experience was like for her too. Okay. And Colette's going to be a guest for me too. And, it was so interesting. Colette talked about, and it's so interesting because the more you talk about your own experiences, the more you find out that you are not alone. That's why it's so important to talk about these things. And you start recognizing that there's so many parallels in terms of our experiences, right? And Colette talked about, she did a whole series about Get Out, right? So again, for me, it was a combination, like I said, Get Out, Mean Girls, and Emperor Has No Clothes, right? So all these different things. And I just want to say, Black women, pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to the signs that this job is harming you. Okay. So I made reference to this, and I'll say it again. Dr. Nadia Lopez did a video. She's done actually a number of videos being very transparent about her own healing journey, right? And she talked about number one, she said, why are we killing ourselves for jobs that would not grieve for us at our grave? Right? Number two, she talked about many times these toxic jobs, we're being harmed because we're experiencing it directly, but those who care about and who love us, they're being harmed too because they're seeing us being harmed. Okay. So being in a toxic job has a larger impact. Okay. So recognizing that. And also, I had my guest, Alicia Renice, in terms of talking about ways that being in toxic jobs and the fear of leaving these toxic jobs can cost us our freedom and our dreams. Okay. So I'll put that link for the video. And then also, S. Anna Marie Archer talked about from that HR consultant position. She's also an attorney. She's called the anti HR lady, really giving us some tips in terms of what are the first steps when you recognize it's time to leave a toxic job, and then what are the follow-up steps. Okay. So I'll put all that information description section. So again, I just want to come on very briefly again to really comment on Stephanie Perry's video, Black Women Leaving Toxic Jobs. Again, you are not alone, sis. You are not alone. I've been there. It is horrible, right? But I also want to let you see that you can make it out. Okay. I've made it out. Okay. I've made it out and I'm so much better for it. And because I've made it out, and because I know how horrible it is, and because so many women have reached out to me, Black women, I'm committed to helping other Black women get out. Okay. Because I don't want to see more of us dying, more of us being harmed, right? We've gone through too much, right? We've gone through too much to just be in the day to day. We've gone through too much to get what we've got to get this. Okay. And I know we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And just like Fannie Lou Hamer, when she's sick and tired of being sick and tired, we got to take action. Okay. So, another comment, and then remember your health is priceless. All money is good money. Okay. I literally just got off the phone with a woman about leaving a toxic job. Okay. So, my hope for you is that not only do you take care of yourself, but please look out for other Black women. Okay. Sometimes our sisters are in the trenches and they don't want to go. They don't want to go because of, they've been taught you stay at a job, you stick it out, right? All money ain't good money. Thank you, Colette. We stay at jobs and we try to stick it out, or we stay at jobs because we get in this thing about you're not gonna run me out of here. Like I'm gonna stand for my benefits. I've been here for so long, right? But you're not winning. You're losing. Okay. So let's reject that. Let's reject that lie. Those are lies. Okay. Let's reject that. Okay. We deserve better and we're going to go for better. Okay. So I'll put Colette's link about the Get Out series in the description section as well. So just give me a few minutes after this is over, and I'll put all those links that I talked about in the description section. Okay. So this Thursday, I'm going to have a conversation with Charmaine Green and Fort, and also her twin Claire Greenford, and we're going to be talking about the real talk about HR. Okay. So I know for me, and I've had so many Black women who've worked in HR and have told me, you really didn't know the real deal about HR, right? So HR is really there for the company. And many times we don't recognize that and we think that HR is there to support us. And I know that I've made some mistakes, right? That I've learned from. And so we're going to be talking about the real deal about HR this Thursday. So please tune in. So it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. So please, please, please tune in. Share the information with other Black women. Subscribe to my channel. Turn on the notification bell so you can get notifications in terms of when I go on live, when I upload a video. And again, I'll put all the links in, right? I said comment. Um, it's important to speak to the tactics of power and the oppressor's strategy of playing the long game. Can you comment a little bit more about that? Okay, because there's so many different oppressive strategies that we need to be mindful of at these jobs, right? So one oppressive strategy is keep working, 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 and then you'll just get promoted or, people will just see your good work, right? That's not true, right? Or an oppressive strategy is grind, 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 grind. That's the culture here. Let's reject that. Another oppressive strategy is divide and conquer, which a lot of Black women have reached out to me too, in terms of when the person or the people contributing to the toxicity at your job are other Black people, particularly another Black woman, right? So that's another oppressive strategy. So there's a lot of different oppressive strategies. I'm just curious in terms of the comment, in terms of the oppressive strategy that you're referring to. But there's so much oppression going on at these jobs, okay? And, when we think about society, systemic racism permeates all of our systems, right? And when I talk about systemic oppression and racism, I don't want anybody to think I'm just talking about white people, because I'm not. I'm talking about anyone who engages in white supremacist behaviors. And unfortunately, they can be people of color. They can be other Black people. Okay. So again, we have to take care of ourselves and we have to support other Black women, support your family, support your friends if you know that they are in a toxic job as well. Okay. So I hope that you tune in on Thursday, a couple of days from now, in terms of the real HR. And again, subscribe to my channel, and I will put all the information that I referenced in the description section. So have a good night, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.